Hi guys, welcome back to my run, Last Epoch. Seems to be working okay now. I've been kind of babying it a bit, So it works fine. With regards to bugs or anything, I haven't ran into any in a while, so. Well, the other day I ran into a nasty one, but I was just a controller thing. Controller and keyboard and mouse thing, I guess. Both kind of messed up. No big deal. Oh, this is a good one. Shit, this is a good one too. In the armory. Find a quartermaster in the armory. Okay. What? They just changed my quest.
Probably didn't need to sit on that quite that long because he could just said, I may talk to you later after this is all over. So they weren't going to take any questions. But sometimes, let's bring back John Caldwell now, Fox News political analyst. There are clearly a lot of questions, John, that all reporters have at this point, and I would imagine a lot of Americans have them too. And that would be what priorities are being set in this meeting. I mean, what are they really fighting over and sticking points? Because we're this close to a partial shutdown starting on Friday. Clearly, there's some issue.
And there's going to be a lot of issues discussed. Interestingly enough, a lot of these problems started on Joe Biden's watch. We didn't have Iran using their proxy Hezbollah attacking us over 100 times when President Trump was in office. We didn't have an open border where more than 7 million people that we know about crossed over. We didn't have a lot of these issues that are impacting American families, like the overdosing from fentanyl. What we've seen under Joe Biden's watch is the decline of our country in many ways, which will have major ramifications. And some of these things that they'll discuss in this meeting will have major ramifications for the election issue.
So the Ukraine issue is kind of how we got here, so we're told. That if they hadn't rolled everything into that border issue, maybe they would have been able to talk about what was actually happening at the border. But they were busy haggling over how to get the pullouts and the set-asides. HR 2, given to the majority Democrat Senate last May. Senator Marsha Blackburn told me that was always a standalone bill. It didn't have all of those additives of aid for this country and that country, and Indo-Pacific gets $5 billion and so on and so forth. They had a bill that they could have talked about that dealt exactly with the border. They could have worked something out. But it had an R by it, and the Democrats sat down.
That's right. And I'm reminded of your interview last week with that Chicago resident who said, I've had enough. Enough is enough. You give it to everyone else, but you're neglecting American citizens. Yes, she was excellent. And that message, I think, is reigning true all across the country right now. People are wondering, what about us right here in America? We're taking care of everyone else. We need to focus on us first. Get things done, secure the border, and ensure that many of these migrants who shouldn't be here are sent back home.
Well, look, you're from Chicago. So you know that there are Democrat-led pockets in this country of communities of color, and I say plural. We're not all the same. We have different needs, desires, but you know what we share in the American dream, because above all, we are Americans. And so when you look at that, and you look at what's happening in New York City here, and the crimes against police officers being beaten up in the streets, Times Square, when you look at things that are coming apart as a society, what sense does it make to have this president go to an area of the border where it's not an epicenter anymore in Brownsville? Because the cartels game us out. We're like, puppets.
Okay.
So they've moved on from that area. Now they're over in San Diego and California. What difference does it make to have them go down there? What really needs to happen?
Well, so first and foremost, he's doing this for the press. So his spokesperson can go on television and say he's been to the border, he takes this issue seriously, when he absolutely does not and has not taken this issue seriously until it begins to impact him with black voters and many other demographics of voters who said enough is enough. What he needs to do is bring back the Trump policies. I know he said a lot of negative things about it when he was running the last time, but people now see, absent the Trump policies, what we have. And what we have is many cities across the country that are declining rapidly. They're losing resources. This has become a multi-billion-dollar issue for many cities, many localities that don't have the money. So now he needs to act. He needs to be brave. He needs to look at the left flank, the AOCs of the world, and say, no, enough is enough. I'm going to support the American people and not your liberal ideology, but will that happen? I doubt it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. And we'll see, how far Republicans are willing to take this and cover every moment of it. Thank you for being with me for the breaking news. The president in the White House today with the big four, as they call them, House and Senate leaders from each party. And can they reach a deal by Friday? Jono, blessings to you. And now let's get started with that. The courtroom drama surrounding Fulton County District Attorney Connie Willis and her prosecutor, Paramore, as I call him, Nathan Wade, continues about 2 hours from now. Willis is facing disqualification from the election interference charges against Donald Trump, which could unravel the entire case against the former president in the state of Georgia. And in a surprising move, the judge called back Nathan Wade's former law partner to take the stand and assigned he could challenge the sworn testimony of both Wade and Willis, which up against the facts would mean somebody wasn't telling the truth. On the stand. Welcome. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Emily Campagno and Kaylee McKinnon. Also joining us today, Kennedy Saves the World podcast host Kennedy, and former Georgia congressman and the host of the Doug Collins podcast, Doug Collins is here. Well, we begin with Steve Harrigan, live in Atlanta, with the details on this case. And Steve, you and I were just talking last hour. Yes, it's a surprise, but what's coming up? That's what we want to know.
We do want to know. We want to know if this former law partner, Nathan Wade, is going to come out and say Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis are lying. That's what the defense hoped last time around. But he came to the stand. He was Nathan Wade's old divorce attorney. He said everything is attorney-client privilege. He basically was on the stand, didn't say a word. The judge took him behind closed doors for an hour and a half yesterday, and now he's coming back. Will he challenge his former law partner to say he's a liar under oath? If he does, there could be trouble in the DA's office.
I want to be clear because my credibility is being evaluated here, right? We were friends. We hung out prior to November of 2021. In November of 2021, I hired her. I do not consider our relationship to have become romantic until early 2022.
That's the question. When did this relationship become romantic, and were the two lying under oath? We're going to see the judge decide whether or not to accept phone records on Friday. Those records show thousands of calls and texts between the two before they ever said they were an item. Harris, back to you.
All right, an itemized deduction of whether or not there was an item. Good to see you. Thank you. Emily, I'm coming to you first. So, how important is it to know when this started, this relationship?
For two reasons. Number one, that both Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis have staunchly denied ever being together before they began their professional relationship prosecuting Donald Trump. And number two, just that when it started, if it started before she appointed him to prosecute Donald Trump, then it calls into question the conflict of interest. So there's a twofold interest here. One, a criminal color for them, and the criminal color for Donald Trump. And I have to point out something interesting, which is that so Nathan Wade's divorce attorney, as we know, tried to claim attorney-client privilege. And the judge said, no, you have not met that burden. And I just want to point out, as we talk a lot about the details here in this case, for example, Nathan Wade saying, well, the cell records are wrong, even though they pinged thousands of them. Exactly, thousands of them. There's a lot of minutia, but I think on the whole, think about how the justice system works, we hope, is that it sort of does away with those details to say, look, privilege doesn't apply here. We need to let the sunlight disinfect. We need to know, are you in a relationship? When did it start? And were you, was there any element of conflict of interest here? And that, I think, goes to a question you asked a while ago, which I thought was a really good question, which is that if everyone is involved in the prosecution of Trump and the other 18 defendants, then aren't they all potentially conflicted. And so with all of them, how many of them did know about the relationship? How many of them weighed in on counsel behind closed doors? Oh, this is my advice too. You've got a bunch of attorneys in a room, and you've got a bunch of defendants. And at heart here is whether justice and its purity can actually be served. That's only if the judge sees the forest for the trees.
Okay, it does give me sunlight and sunshine to know that with your legal background, you see like any effort or value in my legal question.
It was a good one. It was a good one.
I put my mind to it, but apparently I at least got a B plus. So is this actually worse than if Bradley, the son of Bradley, had taken the stand and actually said what he knew in the beginning? Because what attorneys were able to do in the interim was kept them alive, essentially.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the cell phone records are damning. I mean, you have like 35 times the phone ping, 2,000 voice calls, 12,000 total interactions. You made the point yesterday, like, I don't even have that with my husband. I mean, 12,000 interactions, that's a lot of interactions.
We do live together. I don't know what their sitch was.
That's a great point. But I think the question is the bar that the judge sets here, because he's previously indicated it is a high bar to disqualify counsel. You have to prove, one, there was this relationship and the timing of it, but two, that there was financial benefit involved. So that's a high bar, he said. But he's also indicated previously the threshold might be something more like appearance of conflict of interest, which to the American public, there appears to be a conflict of interest here, both in fact and in appearance. So we'll see what he does. The facts are damning. And then finally, I would just say the defense said today, this coming out is the star witness. If he corroborates what Robin Kersey said, the friend that just started earlier, plus the Stalin data, plus him, that's 3 data points.
I know. Well, and as a journalist, if you've got 3 sources, Kennedy,
Well, then you've got yourself a story and a stool. So what they tried to do was get some of these text messages between the two admitted in the case, and the judge disallowed that. So the thing I like about the judge is he seems to be one of the very rare actors who is not terribly politicized, but he seems to be very task-oriented and very organized. So he is looking at all of this and weighing everything equally as a jurist is supposed to do. And he's one of the few people who it appears that he is making very thoughtful decisions, and he will come down on the side of justice. So to your point, you asked her, was the little interim between when Bradley's going to testify, did that give the defense attorneys room? Absolutely. If they could not use the text messages, they knew they were together, and they knew they were physically together in 2021, and they had both lied. So they just looked for another metric, and the cell phone data proved that. But this could be.
so we didn't know about this messages, but they likely would have known.
Of course they knew about the messages. Remember Peter Strzok?
I remember Perry Mason.
I'm sitting next to Peter Mason.
We know, right? But talking about the politics of this, I mean, is this going to then, when American voters look at this, no matter how they vote, many of them are angry over a lot of things that are happening, almost irrespective of party. When they look at this, so they say, yeah, this is another case of Donald Trump being messed with.
Oh yeah, the politics pretty easy about this. Most Americans have actually said we don't care about this anymore. They've seen the reports, they've seen this. It's just become part of this chunk. As an attorney in Georgia, this case is really an interesting case, and it's got a lot more interest. And I'm gonna lay out a couple of things. Number one, the hearing on Friday about these settlements. We know them to be back because they were published in a filing before the court. The court technically has not taken that up as evidence yet. So again, we may know it here.
What does that mean?
Well, that means that he's got a rule if he's actually going to be just going to be allowed into the court proceeding itself. That's a case that the judge has to do. He's doing it right. To go back to today, I think it's really interesting that he actually allowed, after sitting for an hour and a half yesterday, said, no, you're going to have to go back out. If you remember a week and a half ago, he said, when this witness testified the first time, he said, I think you have a mixed up understanding of what privilege is. That was a telltale sign. He said, something's wrong here. So he went out an hour and a half yesterday. He made this case. Now he's going to come back and testify this afternoon. Let's go back to this the attorney, Steve Tate Outlands, who made this with Wade on the stand, where he asked about if we had if there were cell phone records or these kind of things, would they be wrong? And again, Wade said, yes, they would be wrong. Okay, as an attorney, what are you doing? He's setting it up. How many times have we done this cases here lately. This Harris has been going crazy. He's setting it up for what he was going to do on
because people think they can get away with stuff.
So
That's why we have so much material to talk about.
it's so easy because he's going to set him up on impeachment, which they were going to try again. This is an interesting case that nobody's thought about. When Fonnie Willis decided to testify, she came in, she took all of the questions, and we're not even going to get into that, how messed up that was.
Like the storm in and the
But here was the
dress.
interesting part. I think for many of the defense attorneys, Emily, think about this. Many attorneys were wanting to actually then get a chance at her on a rebuttal. She did come back in, and her side did not ask her a question, so she was done. They didn't get to ask some of these other questions.
Why do you think they did that?
Oh, exactly that. They didn't want her again. They didn't want the defense attorneys, the other attorneys, to have a chance at her again.
Did her dad help? He was just a old spirit. He came in and he tried to defend his daughter, and you could tell he just loved her to pieces and wanted to help her out.
Last point, I agree with that. Last point on this, though, here's the bigger issue. But besides the case, by the way, if he decides that if they can't proceed, if Willis can't proceed and Wade can't proceed, the case doesn't go away automatically. It'll go to the prosecuting counsel attorney in Georgia, who will either then farm it out to another DA or find a president attorney to do it. So this is not over. But what it is could be over for, it could be over for the career of Willis and Wade.
Wait, can I ask a quick follow-up? As you're a guard in Georgia, is there a possibility, given prosecutorial discretion, that upon referral, could it actually be declined? Could it be dropped? Could it be over because the referring prosecutor says there actually isn't anything here?
Very much. I just talked to the DA before I got on today because we were going back and forth about this, and if they took it, they could actually say this is not a case that we're going to take, or they could change the charge. There's a lot of things that can be done here. This is nowhere close to being over.
Wow, you need to write an op-ed. I'm going to be able to have what you just said and then highlight first. After I printed old school, so that'll tell you how old I am. Anyway, we're getting chilling new details on the brutal murder of 22-year-old Lincoln Riley. A Democratic congresswoman is warning us not to make too much of her tragic death. Yeah, that's what I'm repeating that she said. Unreal. Next.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals, nutrients for immune health, and ensure complete with 30 grams of protein. Works hard in hour one and twice as hard when you take it again the next day, so Betty can be the
Barcode beat conductor.
Let's be more than our allergies. And for fast allergy relief with a powerful decongestant, try Zyrtec D. Americans of every belief and value, they don't want more chaos and craziness. In the America I know, we respect freedom. We refuse to use the awesome power of big government to punish those we dislike. And we recognize that America has done more good for more people than any country in the world. People have a right to have their voices heard. And they deserve a real choice. I'm Nikki Haley, and I approve this message.
Hi, I'm Ben. I've lost 60 pounds on gold. With other programs I'm trying to pass, they are unsustainable, just too restrictive. With gold, I can enjoy my food, and the fear and guilt of eating is gone.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats are more than you realize. If you're a victim of identity theft, LifeLock works to fix it on your behalf, backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. Enroll now.
Hi, I'm William Devane. And you know, these days we take a lot for granted. Used to be just having wood for the fire and a little food for your table was all you needed to feel secure. Not anymore. Now rising debt is chopping away at the value of our dollar, like this. And that troubles me, which is why I buy gold as often as I can. I buy my gold from Roslyn Capital because I trust them. Roslyn has the best customer service around. With all the money printed by shaky governments, protecting my purchasing power against the rising threat of inflation is more critical
Okay.
than ever.
All right, guys. Let's check you out next time. All right. Peace.
Call now to get your free gold, silver, and IRA kits. For a limited time, Roslyn is offering up to $15,000 in free gold to qualifying new customers. Call 800